All right, welcome to another edition of I almost said freeform. The BS sessions on YouTube exclusive, man. I guess we're a vidcast like our guest here who has one. So Jerry, man, what's happening, brother?
We're interchangeable between all of our shows. We're all of our shows are related, so it's easy to mix them up every now and then. I'm doing good. I'm fucking tired, but my first day back in a couple of days. So other than that, I'm doing okay, man. Looking forward to doing a show. Looking forward to having a good fucking Halloween. I got some great plans, man.
Oh, that's great.
Of course, the best thing in the world that ever can happen to a man ever happened today. Guess whose tickets I bought today?
Enjoy.
Ghost, man. Fucking A, dude.
Love it.
Can't wait.
So they
Almost a
said,
fucking year. I hate it when they go on sale like almost a year before the actual fucking show. I
Yeah.
wonder why they do that for. I mean, it's not until July 26th. I mean,
hmm
next year.
That's what
Jeez,
happened
but
with
anyway.
that's what happened with me last year when I bought my Foo Fighters tickets for this year. I bought them like this time last year for a July show.
Yeah. Not only that, I got the fucking ordered the right here, right now DVD. Can't wait for that fucker to come in, man. All kinds of ghost shit's coming my way. Looking forward to it.
right here,
Anyway,
right
enough of
now,
that.
that sounds like Van Halen.
No,
That's Van Hagar.
it's right.
Van Halen.
Oh, I don't think right spelled the same way as the Van Hagar.
It's
I
R
know, but
I
I had
it's
to
R
give
I
you,
T
I
E.
had to give you some shit on that.
I
But
always call
anyway,
him Van Hagar. Sorry.
Van Halen.
anyway, let's introduce our guest here.
Hagar.
Halen. Go ahead.
Rip off. Anyway,
Fuck
the,
off.
the sil-
All right.
the silhouette figure. Oh, there he is. He's starting to get back in focus again.
All
Mr.
right.
Mr. Zoom user, Mark Daly, man. How you doing, dude?
Hello. How you all doing?
Good.
We are doing pretty fucking good. And the guy next to him on my screen, of course, is got to be the happiest football fan in the world because his team is definitely I wouldn't say overachieved because Pittsburgh's always been a good team, but man, they're off to a good start. I think they're in first now,
Overachieving
right?
is the word. Yes,
They're
we are in
first place right now. Yeah.
Mhm.
Joseph Staub, man. How you doing?
Good evening.
Cool. Where are you at tonight? You looking like you're in another different place.
No, just in my back room that I've been in a couple
Oh,
times. My record
okay.
collection over
Oh,
here.
there you go. I'm just used to the fucking CD thing being behind you.
Drinking some Jack and Coke.
There you go.
Get some whiskey.
And then my partner from a few like 10 million other shows that we do, which are pretty fun to do, and just got back from a vacation, man. Andy Rodriguez, how was your vacation, dude?
My vacation to Arizona was fantastic, man. I really had a good time. That's a beautiful state. As a matter of fact, the landscape, just everything was just great.
It's so clean, isn't it?
Yeah, it really
The
is.
freeways are like the cleanest freeways I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Phoenix was a very clean city, and
Well, I mean, it literally gets dust cleaned if you think about it a lot. So, it's like being clean with windy fucking what's that comet? I mean, it just clears the air. It's so. Yeah, I've been there. I mean, it's a beautiful state. I mean, it's people say about the heat there, but it's a different heat. It's not like a humid heat there. It's like a dry heat.
Actually, they had a little cool wave, so nothing got
Oh,
higher
wow.
than 80. So it was
Cool.
nice. Yeah.
All right, man. With all the guests introduced, let's start with the BS, man. What do you got, Mark?
All right, I got something I was going to bring up last week, but we had a long show. So I'm going to bring this up. Stevie Nicks says she gave Lindsey Buckingham a million chances and she just couldn't handle it anymore. Jerry?
Yeah, again, it's getting pretty fucking old. Look, do I deny Lindsay was an asshole? Probably. I get that. But she hasn't been no princess back to him. I mean, every book or anything interview she's done, she's always trashing the guy. I mean, yeah, Fleetwood Mac without Stevie wouldn't be as good as Fleetwood Mac with Stevie and no Lindsay. I get that as far as what people want to see. But without Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie's music, I don't think wouldn't have been as predominant in Fleetwood Mac's catalog. But man, it's like I don't even think they talk anymore. Just let it be, man. Jeez. I mean, I don't think Lindsay has said anything disparaging lately. Do you guys know of anything?
I don't know.
No.
Not that I've
No.
seen.
Nothing.
It's just, and she might be getting pounded with these questions all the time. Maybe that's kind of irritating to her, but let it go, man. What is with these crusty old rock stars, man? I don't get it. I mean, she's still kind of relevant. I mean, her new song kind of sucks, but
Well, her singing
she's
kind of
still,
sucks.
she can still sell out an arena, or come close to it. So it's not like she's irrelevant now.
Oh, it was
she's
$3,000. $3,000 for a ticket at a freaking Indian casino.
So I mean, unless Lindsay's like stalking at her house every night and lighting shit on fire on her front porch, it's just leave it be, man. It's no big deal anymore.
Wouldn't that be funny if they had a video of Lindsay could knock on a door with a pile of shit, like, "Hey, bitch."
But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Just let it be.
What do you think about it, Joseph?
I mean, yeah, it's getting old. I mean, is it definitely probably something that he did? Because I mean, she stuck around in Fleetwood Mac after he left, so it's not like she was the one pissing everybody off. So I just think she just leave it be. I mean, we don't have Christine around anymore. Fleetwood Mac is practically irrelevant at this point. They're not, even if Lindsay came back in the band, it's not Fleetwood Mac anymore. So it's she just needs to stop. Just do her own thing, let him do his thing, and let it be.
Yeah, I know. I mean, John McVie's having bad health problems with his arms too. So I mean, it's never going to happen again. I mean,
no.
Yeah. So,
well,
even though they did do it without Christine for a couple of years, and it was kind of successful still, unfortunately. But to me, it's those five.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark.
Well, I saw that show without Christine. It was really good. So I have a shirt with so Christine wasn't my favorite member of Fleetwood Mac until she came back, and I thought it was cool. But Mark, you have any thoughts on Stevie Nicks being a bitch? No?
No, yeah. But I just mostly comment on the price of those tickets. Like you said, $3,000. That's just the way it is nowadays. It's you have to think about it. I know Mark posted something today about the Who's going to be touring next year. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a pretty penny. But to me, you're really not getting the full lineup anymore. I don't mean to sound like one of those old guys, like, shouting at the cloud in the sky, but you pretty much just going to get like half of the band, maybe just one member. Just like, for example, you got Foreigner, the only one member left, and some nights even Mick Jones takes the night off, so you're going to get like a tribute band. And which is funny because I think Jeff Pilson has been in Doc. I'm sorry, Jeff Pilson has been in Foreigner longer than he's been in Dokken. So go figure. A little
probably a lot of those guys have been. Probably Kelly has too.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't think he's been that long, but
Kelly's been there a long time, dude.
He has been
a good couple decades.
Hey, I like the Foreigner tribute band. I've seen him twice, and they're pretty damn good.
He's got a good voice. I like his voice.
Yeah, he does not sound like Lou Gramm at all. I'm just saying.
I was pissed off because he only sang like 2 verses at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame thing. I'm like, let the guy sing a song, man. Better than the fucking who sang it? Was it Demi Lovato?
I don't know.
You said Kelly Clarkson.
Kelly Clarkson. I mean, don't get me wrong, beautiful voice and all, but she got no business singing a Foreigner song. She way over sang that song.
Either just Demi Lovato or Sammy Hagar.
Yeah,
it should have been Lou or Kelly, one of the two.
I agree. I mean, he's just sitting in the background like a backup dancer, I mean, let the guy sing, man.
Well, Lou came out, like we already talked about this last week, but what do you think about Stevie Nicks, Andy?
Yeah, it's pretty odd that this news or that she'll talk shit right before she goes on Saturday Night Live. So, another publicity thing. I don't know when she was given the rights to be calling the shots for Fleetwood Mac, to be honest with you. I know that she's the popular one, and she's also the face of the band, I guess. Well, she is, but when was she given this power to say who comes and who goes?
Well, you just said it right there. She's the more popular one.
Yeah, but still, Mick should be the one.
Yeah, but if it comes down to her looking at Mick and saying either I stay or he stays, who's he going to keep?
Yeah, because Mick has said a few times he regrets that decision of letting him go. So, but what can you do? So,
but then I've been thinking. But then again, like Joe was saying, it's not like they're real. It's not like it matters anymore. Their time is gone, and they should just call it a day and just get rid of Fleetwood Mac and just let it retire and go away on this note. If it's high or low or whatever kind of note it is, just let it go.
Just keep releasing all those live albums. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah,
they are pretty good. Yeah. Was the Tango in the no? What the Tango in the Night? It
It was a
was
Mirage.
Mirage.
Mirage,
Okay,
and
yeah.
they did Rumors too, right?
Yeah.
And then you already had the live album from the Tusk
Yeah.
tour, so
Yeah.
Mhm.
Damn, that's freaking pretty cool. All right, man. Let's get to something that we if you guys were back in the 80s, 90s, late 80s, late 90s, the last Blockbuster video closed in Bend, Oregon. What do you think about that, Joseph?
yeah, I mean, they were even around when I was growing up. I was in like the last couple of years of the Blockbusters. I remember going there and renting stuff all the time. And when the one around here closed, I actually was able to buy quite a few um, VHSs still. I bought all the Star Wars Special Edition VHSs from the Blockbuster when they closed, and they were really cheap. They were selling VHSs for like $1 or something back in like 2005, and it was really cool being able to go to the Blockbuster. And then when it closed, it was kind of sad because my family really didn't. That was back before I started collecting things, so my family really didn't own a lot of DVDs. So anytime we wanted to watch a movie, we went to Blockbuster, and it never was quite the same. After that, we got one of those red boxes, and then now, of course, streaming and my giant collection. But
Yeah, red boxes are almost gone. They took them all out of my city
Yeah.
already. So yeah,
Because
all
Physical-
gonna be streaming.
physical media, just it's unless you buy it yourself. That's why it's so damn expensive to buy anything anymore, because
Yep.
they got to make their money somehow on it.
physical media is awesome, but I'm pissed off. CD prices have been going up. That's kind
Yeah,
of
man.
sucks.
Yeah, that's been pissing me off. It's like $14 to get a new CD these days.
14 to 17, dude.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Yeah, daughters are gonna lose this game, dude. Uh oh my god. So what do you think of Blockbuster going away, Mark?
Well, that's unfortunate because I actually was brought up in the VCR age and the mom and pop stores. This is before Blockbuster, so I pretty much got to see every stage as it went along. You know, it went from the VCR first came out, which the tapes were really expensive, so that's pretty much created the tape rental stores. Matter of fact, to buy a VHS tape back in the day, I think we were looking like $60 or $80. It was just like
Yeah.
it was
And if you
insane. So
and if you lost one from Blockbuster, you have to pay like $50 or $60 to
Yeah.
pay it back. Yeah. Sorry, Mark. Go ahead, man.
and then no problem. That's actually good. But also then Blockbuster came along, and I remember I was one of those types of guys who would just walk through the aisles for like maybe an hour and like begrudgingly finally get something because I knew a guy that worked at Blockbuster. I put a tape on the counter, and he like actually pushed it back. It's like, nope, you don't want to rent it. It's like, what do you mean I don't want to rent it? It's like, it's a trophy. You don't want to rent it. Like, go find another one. I'm like, oh my gosh. So he said, okay, fine. And then you give me a thumbs up sometimes. But it's unfortunate. And a little Netflix drop. I believe they still had that documentary about the last Blockbuster, and that was a couple years before it closed, and it was really interesting. So maybe go check that out. I don't know if it's still on the platform, but it was very interesting. I can't remember the name of it though. Just put Google Netflix Blockbuster.
Yeah, so what do you think about that, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of fond memories going into Blockbusters and Hollywood Video too. I think I went to Hollywood Video actually more than Blockbuster because it was right down the street from me. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing more disappointing than wanting to go see a movie. You get there and you see them all, but there's nothing behind it. That means it's out. It's been sold and rented already. It's like, damn. But yeah, I mean, the convenience of streaming is easy, but I don't know, something like the experience of going there and renting a video was kind of cool. I mean, late fees and shit suck, but yeah, I mean, people don't have to do anything anymore. It seems like, you know what I mean? Everything is like right there in front of you. The experience of sometimes it was accomplishment going there and getting a movie because it was either crowded, busy, or close. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, you kind of feel accomplished if you're able to get a movie, especially a new one that's been released. So yeah, I mean, it's sad. I mean, closings are happening. Retail stores, are all gone. I mean, yes.
Do you guys still use Redbox? Because I don't really use that anymore. I used to use them a lot.
Our Walmarts and stuff used to have them, but they finally got rid of them.
Yeah, I haven't seen any around here in quite a while.
Yeah, I saw a couple red boxes here, but I don't use them.
Those were kind of cool, actually. I mean, you just what was it? Did
Go
you
in
get a
the app. You could go in the app and reserve your movie too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
get
get like a full?
it up.
Did you get a full day for a late fee on that, or what? I can't remember, but
I don't remember.
uh,
But it's good because the Redbox pretty much had everything, and sometimes you could have like 3 or 4 streaming platforms, and you still might not get just that one
Yeah.
movie that you really want to see. You know,
yeah, it's a different world, man, than it was, and maybe
It's just
it's built for convenience nowadays.
just like Halloween's coming up, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna check these streaming platforms and see who has Halloween. Nobody has.
Yeah.
I think it's on Stars or something like that, and I don't have
Yeah.
that.
I think it's
Really,
on Peacock.
had it last year,
Peacock.
I think.
Okay,
I think it's
I'll-
on
I'll check-
Peacock.
I'll check Peacock.
You
But
might
what-
also want to check out Pluto. Pluto
Yeah.
has a lot of Halloweens.
Pluto's got a bunch of free
Tubi.
ones. Yeah. Tubi, yeah.
Tubi is amazing. I love it.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah,
All
I love
right,
it.
Andy, what do you think about Blockbuster going away? the
Yeah,
last time?
Blockbuster. I remember going on Friday afternoons after school with my sisters and going to pick out the movies for the weekend. I really loved it. Like Jerry said, there was also a Hollywood Video not that far away, but we really didn't go there. We preferred going to Blockbuster, and almost worked for Blockbuster, but they never called me back. But I haven't rented a video in decades,
Yeah.
and I think Redbox has an app that you can just rent from home now. Actually,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
unlike on the Roku, you just download Redbox and they've got all sorts of movies with prices there, just like going to go rent one from the ATM that they had. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an ATM.
Yeah.
That's what's funny about Netflix. They used to actually mail you a certain amount of DVDs. That's how they started.
Mhm.
Remember? They used to join, and they sent you like 2 or 3 DVDs, and you keep them as long as it possible. I don't think there was any late fees, but yeah, that was actually kind of cool too.
Told you, Yankees are going to come back and win the series. Grand Slam.
But anyways, I was going to add one more thing. There was one thing that Hollywood Video and Blockbuster didn't have that the mom and pop DVD or video stores had. The little room. Closed off room.
Yeah.
Not the little room.
Oh, you know what? My mom and pop store, when you open the little room door, like a bell, almost like a cowbell. So when you open the door, it's like,
It's like, look at me, I'm going there to look at porn.
and the tape box was enormous. So it's not like something you could hide.
Yeah.
And you had to bring the box to get the tape. So it was so embarrassing. They're like, oh, look at me, I got the box.
We always used to sneak in there too. You used to like hide your face and like,
Right.
I never went into those.
Also, but those mom and pop stores always looked like they belong in ski lodges. They were dark, they were all wood paneling. No matter where you are, it always looked like you were in some kind of ski lodge gift shop. It's pretty cool. I loved it. I remember the very first video that we rented when we finally got a VCR. We rented The Bandit. I still remember that.
Go ahead.
Forget, Be Kind, Rewind.
Rewind.
My VCR actually died rewinding a long tape, and we had that VCR for so many years, and I could just hear that motor would just start to burn, and I'm like, oh,
well, that's why you buy those little rewinders on the side.
I was hot shit in the neighborhood because I had one of those actually. So
that's how our first VCR tape died. Recorder died.
I'll tell you this. Our VCR in our living room still works.
Oh damn!
I still got one, but I don't. But that's not plugged up.
That's one thing. That's one thing I don't have. I have everything else. I don't have any VHS tapes left. I don't.
We don't. I don't think we have any VHS tapes left. We just have the only thing that we still have is we have a lot of our family home movies on VHS.
I got Star Wars VHS because I got
8
special editions.
I got 8 tracks, reel to reels. I got all kinds of shit.
I never had a reel to reel.
That's still one of the better sound qualities of all time, or reel to reels for some.
That's what people tell me.
Yeah.
But let's get to fuck. Do you guys want to talk about Kiss?
No.
What happened now?
is
that about the groupies?
Paul Stanley
about
spouting
Paul
off.
Stanley's about groupies that he liked that nobody got hurt. Yeah,
it seems like he's just trying to stay relevant and somehow stay in the news. I'll just say that. I'm pretty sure we all can agree on that.
He's like, who's out there getting high right now? When he never smoked. Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
And the nurse has some big titties, I swear.
Yeah.
That nurse story. Oh, come on. When we saw the Animalized at the Staub tour, the banter was so cringe between the songs. Like, oh, we'd be like, oh God, please play another song.
No, I don't want to talk about kiss banging groupies. It's all right.
well, Gene Simmons saying that Flea's a horrible bass player too. But we'll go past that. How about a woman dies after backing into an airplane propeller while taking pictures? Officials say. What do you think about that, Jerry?
That's just unfortunate. I don't know what else to say about that.
Can't you hear the propeller behind you?
I was going to say, how can you not hear it? I mean, I don't know much about it. Maybe she had headphones. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I don't get that. I mean, actually kind of sounds kind of fishy if you think about it. But
maybe the boyfriend said, back up.
I mean, she didn't feel the wind from the propeller. I mean, come on. She didn't get blown away.
I mean, unless the thing was moving, maybe. But what the hell was she doing? I don't know. I don't get that at all. It's weird.
I think I read a little bit of the story, and I believe she was working and she was taking pictures of people that would go skydiving. So it was the pictures of getting on and getting off the plane. And I'm pretty sure maybe she was backing up to take photos. And I don't mean to sound like Mr. Know-It-All, but I work at Piper Aircraft, and we actually make propeller planes. And you got to be really careful, be aware of your surroundings, because they say in the safety handbook, pedestrians have the right of way at all times, except when a plane is taxiing. The planes have the right of way. So you just got to really watch where the heck you're going, because those propeller planes are very dangerous. And, we've never had like a really bad incident. But when I saw this, I'm like, oh my God.
That makes sense, actually.
Tragic.
Just like that. Just like that scene in Raiders of the Lost Ark when that dude backed into the airplane propeller. It's like, yeah. So yeah,
right.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, Mark. So
yeah, but yeah, you get this spew. Like I said, I think she was backing up to get pictures of the people as they're maybe walking towards the plane, because sometimes people want to continue walking as you're trying to take the picture or something. I don't know. That's like it's tragic.
She was pretty too.
Yeah,
I don't mean to take light of that, but it's just weird why are you next to a plane just backing up? What a horrible death too.
I mean, you think she's done that? Maybe she's new to the job, but if she's done it for a while, shouldn't
there be somebody telling her to like watch out? Shouldn't there be somebody there with her?
I don't know.
I agree.
Was the plane moving forward, or was it just sitting there?
No.
I don't know, but that's just weird. Any thoughts on that, guys? Any more thoughts on that?
Nah, I think it's all been said.
All right. Let's think. Well, we had that's all our bullshit for tonight, except Mr. Big says that's it. So let's get to what we're doing, Jerry.
Yeah, I don't think I mentioned the title earlier, and I apologize. We're going to do our top 11 who we think are vital components to a band that you don't get enough credit, that are, a big part of the sound, but they're kind of like in the background as far as other people in the band. So we gotta give the unknown, not the unknowns, but the least popular in the band a little notice tonight. That's what we're going to do. It's going to be a wide spectrum. I mean, what's the word I'm looking for? Who's popular in one person's opinion might not be popular in another person's. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do you mean this guy is popular? You know what I mean, in the band, but
it's like someone you don't talk about in the band. When you talk about this band, you don't bring his name up.
There you go.
There you go.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we can argue. No.
Yeah. Let's get it started. We'll start with Mark Daly, man. What's your number 11, dude?
My number 11. I'm gonna go. You're gonna probably wonder, like, really? He's not really that. He's pretty much known, but I like the way there's certain parts in like band's history where a member will leave, and it's really up to that next member to really step up and fill in, because if you don't, you're basically you're gonna screw up the band. And there's definitely some instances we've seen that over music history. And I'm gonna go with Number 11 is Vinny Appice, or Vinny Appice, because when he stepped in to fill the void when Bill Ward left the band, he did an admirable job, because he pretty much learned the songs overnight very quickly. They were able to not miss any tour dates on the Heaven and Hell tour, then immediately head back to the studio, record Mob Rules, and proof is in the pudding. If you want to hear a really tight band, listen to Live Evil by Black Sabbath.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That band, Tony Iommi says, I know we weren't getting along with Ronnie and Vinny, unfortunately, got the axe too. But you want to hear like a really tight band, it was those shows that recorded for that tour. So that's my number 11. Vinny Appice during the Mob Rules era, I'll say.
Cool. Joseph, what do you got, man?
Alrighty. So I was trying to think of some different ones for this. And this is one. Most of the ones on my list are, you could consider like classic members of these bands that are part of like the classic lineup. But this one's not. This is one that joined in the late 90s after the death of the original drummer of this band. And honestly, I would venture to say that this guy is a pretty big reason about why this band is still around and touring today. And that is Todd Sucherman from Styx.
Yes.
One of the most phenomenal live drummers you will ever see. Just breathed an insane amount of life into those classic Styx songs. I mean, watch the Return to Paradise DVD if you don't believe me. Watch the Grand Illusion Pieces of 8 DVD that they put out. I mean, he just really revitalized the band after
John
passed away. And I just think that he is a very big reason why Styx is still around and touring today, and really has kind of kept life flowing through the band. And he just has a fun time. You watch any of his drum cam videos, the man just has a great time up there drumming, and he's just a phenomenal drummer. And he really, I think if he was not the one behind the kit, Styx would not sound nearly as good as they do live.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a lifelong fan too. I think it was his favorite band, I think. So it's kind of a dream playing for at least one of your favorite bands, you know. So yeah, cool. Yeah, I agree. I remember an interview with Chuck Panazzo. He said, or I can't remember, it might have been Behind the Music, where Chuck told him that he's the second drummer that he's ever played with in his whole life.
Yeah,
besides his brother. So that's kind of cool. So
and it's still true. It's still true after all these years.
All right, cool, good one, man. All right, Andy, what do you got?
Yeah, mine are going to be kind of well-known artists, but they are very important to the success of the band. Even though we may not talk about them very much. My number 11, I'm going to go with Mike Mills for REM, a bass player, and also backing vocals, a la Michael Anthony for Van Halen. Mike Mills does for REM. REM would not be the same without Mike Mills' backing vocals on there, and it's very important because it gives REM that distinct sound of who they are. So that's my number 11.
Mark.
Weird. You went for one member of REM. I went for another member of REM. I went for the drummer, Bill Berry, because when he left, there was a dramatic loss of the fucking music to me. They changed completely without Bill Berry.
Yeah.
Why did Bill Berry retire anyway? Was he having
an aneurysm?
He had an aneurysm.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
The band totally went like weird and like soft and like out of it. And the last three albums, they said, let's go out like we started, and they went really good with those last three albums. But after Bill Berry left, you still had Mike Mills with those backing vocals, but the band dramatically changed.
It really did.
Did he not perform? Did he not perform with them last time? A couple months.
He did.
Ago?
He did at a charity thing.
Yeah.
They got inducted to something.
He did play with them sporadically in like the last couple years that they were together. He just didn't tour with them anymore. He wasn't on any of the records, but he would do kind of like one-offs here and there, just because he had regained his health to a degree. But after 96, 97, he was no longer a full member of the band after the New Adventures of Hi-Fi era.
Yeah, and it was different when he left.
Yeah.
It was a different band.
You listen to Reveal, you listen to Up, any of those two specifically very different from the stuff they were doing in the 90s before he got sick.
Cool.
Still good albums, but very different.
Yeah, it's very different.
But I also like the fact that they didn't really replace them.
No.
Mm-mm. That's a tribute to who he is and who they are. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, my pick is actually, this is funny because I think Mark Daly actually mentioned this on the chat group. I was trying to think of names and he mentioned this. You're probably going to pick this guy, Mark, or something like that. But, and I thought about it, it's true. So I'm going to steal your thunder if both you guys pick this guy. Mike Campbell, man, is part of
didn't pick it. I told him why I didn't pick it.
But Mark Campbell is definitely part of Tom Petty's sound, dude. I'm sorry. His guitar playing and Tom's songwriting, man, is just, one and the same, man. I mean, he even played on a solo album, a lot of the stuff too. So it isn't like,
the whole band was there except for Stan Lynch.
I was going to say, it wasn't like
the whole band was there except for Stan Lynch.
Yeah.
That's why Stan Lynch left. He was mad. Yeah.
And play with Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I didn't think he fit in with was Fleetwood Mac. But of course, Stevie's going to pick him because, they did a big hit with Tom Petty. But I thought his sound, and he's definitely an underrated guitar player, man. Just listen to his stuff off fucking the debut album, man. It's fucking amazing, dude. And Damn the Torpedoes, holy shit, there's some great guitar playing on this album. Man. So that's my number 11.
Well, I'm going to tell you why I didn't pick him. Because if you're a huge Tom Petty fan, it's Mike Campbell and Tom Petty in that band. That's why I didn't pick him.
Actually, the whole fucking band is good.
Yeah, it's true. But
Howie Epstein,
as a
Stan
Tom Petty
Lynch,
fan, Mike Campbell's been with him since Mudcrunch.
Belmont Tench. I mean, just loaded with great fucking.
Belmont Tench is the unsung hero of that band.
I didn't pick him right. He was good too.
Yeah.
But being a good.
After we did our show last week on keyboard players, and I went and I listened to I put on Just Got Lucky. I was like, you got lucky. I mean, what that keyboard riff, so good.
Yeah.
All right, number 10, Mark.
Me already?
No, Dolly.
No, not you.
I'm confused. There's two Marks.
Mark with a K.
Yeah, the action, not the verb. Go ahead.
Action,
not the noun. I mean, the verb, not whatever. I'm out of it. But
number 10, I have Vivian Campbell for a Dio because, like I said, I like to really go for. That's what you can see on my list mostly is like I like to go for soul artists where that first album is your make or break. If you don't have that like splash debut or a good follow up, you're pretty much done because just think about it. If Dio's Holy Diver sold out, well, guess what? Pretty much Dio could become somebody like Paul Di'Anno because unfortunately Paul Di'Anno wasn't such a great Iron Maiden band, but he kind of floundered around for years trying to get that right band, that right sound, and that really hurt his soul career. He never really seemed to establish himself. But I have to give a lot of credit, obviously, to the other band members, Jimmy Bain and Claude Schnell. But the driving force behind that first Dio album is that is Vivian Campbell for sure. And I'll go with Vivian Campbell because those first two albums, Holy Diver, Last Line, and I know it's not liked as much, but Sacred Heart is a great album. And a lot of people, I think, also really factored in Sacred Heart maybe not being great is because, honestly, I think Vivian Campbell was kind of like, hey, Ronnie, show me the money. He told us by that third album, that's when the money was going to be coming in, and he never really got that payday. He says, at least that's his version of events. So that's what my choice is, Vivian Campbell.
Good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, I agree. I think Vivian Campbell is very underrated, especially for people that only really know him from replacing Steve Clark and Def Leppard. The people don't. He's
been in coast mode for the last 30 years.
Oh yeah, I think
he's doing Last in Line, which is pretty good, except for that last album.
Yeah, but still, people just really don't when they think of like amazing '80s like really guitar heroes. He doesn't get brought up, even though he was right there with the rest of them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so for my number 10, this is probably one of the bigger names on my list. It's always just bugged me because I think this guy is very underrated to the point where he left the band because of it, in all honesty. When people talk about Genesis, people either talk about the Peter Gabriel era or the Phil Collins era, and I say no, it's the Steve Hackett era. That's what it is. It's Nursery Crime Through Wind and Wuthering. That is like the classic period of Genesis. It's the albums that Steve Hackett was on that crossed the border from the Peter Gabriel era into the Phil Collins era. And it wasn't until after Steve Hackett left the band that they really started to become the pop band that they became. And so I think that, like, if you're talking about really classic Genesis, Steve Hackett is such a huge part of that. I mean, you listen to any of those classic Genesis albums, his guitar is all over it, but people never really think about that. They think about Genesis, they think about keyboards, they think about the Mellotron, they think about the kind of layering of different elements of the bass pedals and Phil Collins' amazing drums. But Steve Hackett, I think, is just such an unsung guitarist. And having seen him live, the man is just phenomenal as a guitar player. And he really, it's not until you see him actually playing those songs live that you see how much the guitar really was featured in those classic Genesis albums that nobody ever really talks about. And then you watch some of those concerts from the 80s where Mike Rutherford tried to play it.
I was just going to say, Mike Rutherford became the guitar player, and they had to bring in Daryl Stormer because he couldn't do that. You're exactly right. That's a great pick, man. Because we're both Genesis nerds.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There's a reason.
I agree with you totally on that one.
Yeah, there's a reason that when you watch the Way We Walk DVD, that it's Daryl Stormer playing the first and fifth solo, and not Mike Rutherford.
Mike Rutherford's a fucking bass player.
And he's an amazing bass player.
He's an amazing bass player. Yeah.
When he tried to be a guitar player, it just did not work out.
That's why they said, "Hey, we need another guitar player."
Especially when your guitar player was Steve Hackett.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Andy.
It's funny.
Sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was gonna say, funny you say Daryl Stormer. The first time I ever heard that man's name was there was a Phil Collins video, and the guy was doing Phil Collins was doing that spoof video, Billy, don't lose that number.
I love that.
And
song.
the guy says like, who's playing the guitar? And Phil's got the headphones and goes, Daryl Stormer. And then the guy goes, great. And then he's actually eating a sandwich. He goes, great sandwich. And I'm like, all right, is it great, the guitar player? Or never mind. But I was like, that's an interesting name, Daryl Stormer. Of course, that was before Google, so I couldn't like look him up. And when you guys said that name, like, oh, okay. See, I don't know that much about Genesis at all, so thanks for the info there.
All right, Andy.
And the reason why Steve Hackett is the reason why I love that era of Genesis, but also like the era with Phil, even without the guitar work. But that's what turned me on to that period. And just like Joseph said, I've seen Steve Hackett live, and it's like seeing Genesis. It's crazy how great he is on the guitar, and he really made the Genesis sound for the 70s on those classic albums. Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. My number 10 is going to be drummer Kenny Aronoff. I picked him.
I almost picked him. Good pick.
He was a drummer for Mellencamp and Right Now Fogerty, but not just that. He's part of different all-star casts on concerts, on
Chickenfoot. Okay.
On concerts and benefits, and he's played with a who's who of music. So
I seen him live with Chickenfoot on the second album.
I saw him
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Mark. And Andy said he's played with a who's who. I think you saw him play with a what's that.
You know what? Sit and spin, bitches.
Well, I saw him. It was pretty cool because I saw him with Mellencamp, and Mellencamp opened up for Fogerty. So he just stayed right there.
Double duty.
Yeah, he just stayed right there as a kid while they changed everything around him. So that was okay. He didn't sit there, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. So that's my number 10.
All right, Mark.
All right. You think of this band, you think of Jim Morrison, you think of Robbie Krieger, you think of Ray Manzarek. You never talk about the drummer.
Densmore.
Densmore is the fucking sound of that fucking band with no bass. The guy was rocking it with the fucking Robbie Krieger playing that bass on the organ. Mm-hmm. He is a phenomenal drummer that nobody ever talks about the Doors. They talk about those three members. Nobody ever talks about how great a drummer Densmore was.
And he is.
A great drummer. He kept the groove. Groove. I love that word. But yeah, that's my number 10. John Dismore of the Doors.
Cool. My number 10 is, I didn't realize what a super great guitar player this guy was until I saw the Hell Freezes Over video, concert video. Don Felder is a beast, dude.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks of Joe Walsh, Joe Walsh, Joe Walsh. I will take Don Felder any day of the week over Joe Walsh as a guitar player. I mean, his solos are just fucking amazing, man. I mean, just watch that video. Everybody's seen Hell Freezes Over. Watch all his guitar solos are just amazing in it. It's a shame that, it ended.
Well, Don Felder was on more Eagles albums than Joe Walsh was.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Joe Walsh didn't have much material.
One.
But Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh only did the long run in Hotel California.
And Felder only joined one of these nights.
No, he was on the border.
Was he?
Yeah.
I thought it was one of these nights was his first
No,
one.
I thought he was on the border. I'll look.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, like I said, I think he's very underrated in that band. It's always Joe Walsh, but give me Don Felder any day as far as the one of the better actually, he's one of my favorite guitar players. Man.
You're right, Mark. It was.
I was just looking. Yeah, I know he's on that because that's that's my favorite Eagles album.
But yeah, I mean, that's my number 10, the great Don Felder. I wish they kind of patch things up and get back together, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, Glenn Frey is gone, man. Come on.
Well, yeah,
Glenn Frey's the one who had the beef with Don Felder.
Well, so did Don. It was there were some royalty issues, I think, that they thought about at the end.
They're grumpy old men. You're billionaires.
Yeah.
Who cares about fucking pennies? Pennies.
Yeah. Yeah. Originally, Glenn Frey wanted to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Literally kill him dead, man, if they were in the same room together for a long time. So that wasn't going to happen. But I kind of figured that they would patch things up, at least, let them show up a couple nights and play,
I did think it was cool that back in 2013, when they did the history of the Eagles tour, that they brought Bernie Ledden back. That was cool.
Yeah.
He was on that tour.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he left on good terms. Though. He just didn't like the music.
What if Bernie Ledden sing Midnight Rider, right?
No, that's the Allman Brothers, dude.
No, he did
Midnight Flyer.
Midnight Flyer. Yeah,
Midnight
he sang
Flyer,
that.
that's it.
I hate what's that bluegrass shit, but I like that song. So.
And I think the thing with Don Felder, it's more than money. It's the disrespect that they did to him so much over and over. Like, for example, A Victim of Love off of Hotel California. That was his song. He sang it. And, instead of helping him sing it better, what they did was that they had Don come in by the secretive and erase Don Felder's vocals and then just put his over it.
Was that the producer or Don Henley?
Huh? And they're trying to diminish his role in Hotel California too.
Yeah,
and he was a principal writer of that song. Every time you hear now, well, he just did this one chord, and everybody else came and did this. Blah,
dude,
blah,
his
blah,
lead
blah,
is
blah.
the best lead on that.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
Yeah, it is. He's a great guitar player.
Great. I saw him open up for Styx and RS Speedwagon.
So did I.
His voice
he can't
is not
sing.
He can't sing.
No.
I was just going to say, he can't sing, but he can play.
But he can play the guitar.
He
right.
can play the guitar.
But even though if they wanted a better vocals on Victim of Love, just tell them. Just say, hey, we're going to go this route. This is better. Don't do it behind his back.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what the credits are for that song.
Well, it's kind of good that Don did do the vocals because Don can't sing.
Right.
So, there you go. That was a great decision, but they should have let him in on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, his contributions, especially on the two rocker ones, like Long Run and Hotel California, were amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
On the Border, he was great too.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it going. 9, Mark with a K.
Mark with a K. That's me. Number 9, I'm going to go with this solid bass player. And ironically, his bass line was the first song I learned on bass. And that's a Roger Glover from Deep Purple. And, of course, Rainbow as well. The 3 Rainbow albums. So number 9 is Deep Purple. Roger
Good
Glover.
one. All right, Joe, what do you got for number 9?
Well, quite a few people on this podcast will really, really love what I'm going to say next here. Who my next person is, because they talked about him quite a bit on some of the previous episodes. And yes, folks, Rick Wakeman was not the only keyboardist in Yes.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I got to go with Tony Kaye.
Yes.
I mean,
well,
most people don't even know his name, but he played on so many of their classic albums. He played on the first 3 albums, including the Yes album, which was their breakthrough,
which is one of my favorites.
which is a great album. And then, of course, he came back and played on all their stuff in the 80s into the 90s when they had some of their biggest commercial success, but nobody knows his name. Everyone just thinks of Rick Wakeman.
Yep.
Everyone
let's
thinks
do
of Rick
Wakeman.
Stuff
off changes off that album. That's some incredible.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
Amazing.
Song, I mean. Yeah,
amazing.
That that whole side 1 to that album is just perfect.
Just amazing.
Yeah, and I know that we've argued about this back and forth about it, but I've come to realize that's why I got it right here next to me. I pulled out a couple of albums that I need to sit down and really, really listen to. Huh?
Talk.
So yeah, good pick for Tony Kaye.
Yeah. All right, Andy.
Yeah. Also about Roger Glover, fantastic producer.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yep. Did a bunch of those classic Nazareth albums.
Oh, for real, did he? You also did
yeah.
You also did Judas Priest. I think he did which one was it? Sad Wings of Destiny, I think he did.
Wow. That's good call.
Yeah, because Roger Glover produced like 3 or 4 albums for Nazareth in the mid 70s, when they first started selling.
And I think he did the Rainbow albums because he did
too.
Purple,
as
well. So he's always been a big part of that. Speaking of producers, on my number 9, I'm going to go with Andrew Watt.
Who?
Not only do I think he's a great producer, but he also puts himself into these projects, and he molds himself into the sound of who he's producing. Whether it be Ozzy or Iggy Pop or the Rolling Stones or Pearl Jam or solo Eddie Vedder, he morphs himself to what they need him to be, or to bring back that sound that the fans love. So I'm going with Andrew Watt as number 9.
All right,
Mark. Well, somebody already picked Vivian Campbell off here, but I'm picking the other guy. Everybody knows who the fuck Vivian Campbell is. I don't care. Everybody talks about Vivian Campbell from Dio. Everybody talks about Vinny a Peach or a PC or whatever. Talks about Jimmy Bain. Goddamn, what a great bass player. That guy laid it down and smack 'em lack 'em, man.
Smack 'em lack 'em.
Yeah, fucking Jimmy Bain rules on those Dio albums, and he wrote the keyboard part for Rainbow in the Dark.
Yep.
Does anybody know that?
Yeah.
Dude, the guy was nobody talks about Jimmy Bain. Let's go, oh, he died. That's it.
No, honestly, Mark, I think more people have talked about Jimmy Bain in the last 10 years than ever before, because and this is what actually kind of rubs me the wrong way. Every time I see Last in Line live, they always talk about Jimmy Bain. When I saw Last in Line this past spring, they probably said Jimmy Bain's name 3 times. You want to know whose name they never said once?
Who? Dio?
Ronnie James Dio.
Oh, Vivian hates him.
Yeah, they couldn't mend their problems before he died.
They never said his name once, and they said Jimmy Bain's name like 3 or 4 times.
Wow.
Well, Jimmy Bain was in that band though. He died just before they got to go on tour.
But whose name was on the albums?
Yeah, Dio.
Yeah. Good point.
And who's the leader of the band?
Vivian.
Yeah.
Cool.
RJD.
All right, my pick. Let's see. Oh, dude, man. when you think of this band, you think of Tom Araya, you think of Kerry King, but you never think of Jeff Hanneman, dude.
That
His
band
solos
died
on
with him.
fucking War Ensemble, his solo on that one, fucking Angel of Death, man, just classic thrash, fucking great guitar leads, man. Never got the credit, in my opinion, that he deserved in that band, man. Everybody thinks it's Kerry King, Kerry King, Kerry King. And Jeff was a songwriter too for him. He wrote songs for him too. It wasn't like he was just in the background, going off Kerry King and Tom Araya. Man. Fucking and Dave Lombardo too. I don't think he gets enough respect.
Everybody talks about Dave
No.
Lombardo.
Let me finish. I said among us he does, yeah, but I don't, Well, okay. Well, drummers aren't usually a household.
You can't talk about Dave Lombardo because he gets a lot.
I get your point. Okay, yeah. I'll give you that much. But Jeff Hanneman, definitely, dude, man. I used to have his Heineken shirt. I don't know if I still got it or not. I have to go look for it, but it was cool. It's Hanneman instead of Heineken. Really cool shirt. But he was a great guitar player. From what I heard, he's a really cool dude too, man.
Yeah.
Died before his time. What did he die of again?
Sepsis, I think.
Sepsis. Oh, Jesus, that can be so cured. What the fuck?
Yeah. I think it was like liver sepsis or something like that.
Man.
It had something to do with his liver, I think.
Too much of that Heineken, probably.
Yeah.
All right. Jeff Hanneman's my number 9. Let's go with number 8, Mark with a K.
Number 8, I'm going to go with Jeff Nichols of Black Sabbath. He was a carryover keyboard player, early 80s, started in Heaven and Hell. Basically also did some of the bass parts while Geezer was basically in and out of the band at various stages in the 80s. But he basically carried that position all the way through the from 1982, I believe, 1992 with the Humanizer, and I think he even continued with the band when the Ozzy came back, and I believe he might have been playing keyboards behind the stage. So I'm not too sure about that, but Jeff Nichols is my pick for number 8.
Yeah, I forget we talked about him on one of our shows about what a great addition he was to the band during that age.
Yeah, he was.
That's a really good pick there as well.
Thank you.
All right,
they really expanded their sound, something that they needed big time at that point.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
All right. So my next pick is a guy who you hear a lot about. A lot of the other, they're not a huge band, and people don't know the names of all the members. But this guy, I think, has just been a solid presence in this band throughout its entire history. And not only was he the drummer for the entire history of the band, but he also has been the band's manager since the 70s. And that is Phil Ehart from Kansas. I think he is just a phenomenal drummer. You listen to those classic Kansas records. I mean, you hear all about Steve Walsh on vocals and keyboards, or Robbie Steinhardt, or Kerry Livgren, or whoever you want to talk about, or Rich Williams' guitar as well. But I really think what's holding all of it together is the rhythm section. Those are the two you never hear about, with Dave Hope on bass and Phil Ehart on drums. And Phil Ehart has been one of the only 2 constant members of the band since 1973, along with Rich Williams. And he has been just a solid presence in the band, a great drummer, really kind of holds the band together. And like I said, he's actually been the band's manager since the 70s. So it's kind of cool that he's still, after all these years, managing the band.
Cool.
I didn't know that he was the manager. That's cool.
Yeah. By the way, Steve Morse did die, but it was the wrong Steve Morse.
Yeah.
Well, Tom Hamilton put it on his site, and I'm like, okay, well, he must know, you know what I mean? But it was a writer for one of the, Boston newspaper or something like that, named Steve Morse. Okay. So I guess I was 50% right. Just the wrong Steve Morse. Anyway, Andy, what do you got, man?
Just not the Steve Morse we all know.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry for the Steve Morse that did pass away. After I put down Andrew Watt as my number 9, number 8 kind of fell into my hands because of Andrew Watt. But this one from the 70s, who was a producer, was the leader of his own solo band and his other band called Utopia. I'm talking about Todd Rundgren.
Mm-hmm.
He was so important for the Bat Out of Hell album with Meatloaf, playing instruments in the background, producing, coming up with ways to get out Jim Steinman's visions. So he was very important, and I think that he's very unsung for the things that he did behind the boards, because he did a lot there in the 70s and really styled them to make the artist superstars pretty much. So I'm going to go with Todd Rundgren, but also very well. I mean, himself, his writing on his albums, his guitar playing, just everything that Todd Rundgren does is great. But I'm talking about what he did in the background when he was already an established big star. He would put himself in the backgrounds of these projects, and that was one of the hardest working guys in rock and roll there in the 70s into the early 80s.
Just guitar playing on fucking the title track of Bat Out of Hell.
Oh,
is fucking amazing.
Scorching.
Dude.
Yeah.
It is. It's on fucking fire. That's a great pick, man. All right. Mark with a C.
All right. I'm just gonna say this guy they tried to replace him on the first album and go, oh, we need a better drummer. This drummer is not cutting it. But could you hear Mechanical Resonance without Troy Luccketta?
Nah.
This guy does not get talked about as one of the great drummers of all time.
Well, they finally did it now, so.
Well, it's like Phil Rudd, Troy Luccketta. I think those two drummers are drastically underrated. Mm-hmm. But Phil Rudd gets talked way more about than Troy Luccketta. And I love Troy Luccketta. Every Tesla album he made, the beat that guy played, he played fast, he played hard, he played slow, he had a groove. This drummer is just in the pocket more than anybody ever thinks. So it's Troy Luccketta of Tesla. And they tried to replace him on Mechanical Resonance. And the band said no.
My number 8 is I'll put him on there because of his background vocals more than his bass playing. But if you listen to the Back for the Attack album by Dokken, Jeff Pilson's backing vocals on that fucking album, holy shit, that guy's got an amazing voice. Mm-hmm. Even his stuff with Foreigner, when you see him live, I mean, he's belting out these awesome, just beautiful fucking harmonies. He's got a gift, man. And I think when him and Don did harmonies together, at least in the studio, live is a different story, but in the studio it worked well. And to me, I just thought his backing vocals are incredible, man. One of the two innocent guys in Dokken I like to hear stories from them, Nick Brown and him. I like to fucking hear all kinds of stories about Don Dokken and George Lynch getting their specs.
Well, Pilson was the peacemaker between those two.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even if it was bass player, I don't think he was a fantastic, flashy bass player.
He's really good. He's really good.
It was pretty solid. I mean, of course, he was in fucking Steel Dragons, of course, Rockstar. But yeah,
and I just thought he's a great guy, Jeff Pilson.
Yeah,
always in his interviews.
I mean, what's that ballad off Back for the Attack? It's really
how many so many tears.
Heaven Sent. Holy shit!
That's not a ballad. That's dark shit.
It's kind of a ballad. It's ballady.
I think So Many Tears is a ballad.
Yeah, but the big one is Heaven Sent.
But this backing vocals in that fucking song are, man, out of this world. So anyway, that's my number 8, Jeff Pilson. Mark with a K, number 7, man.
My number 7, talking about a great guitar player, and in the 80s, he put together a nice string of albums, but in 3 different bands. You have to think about, he was in Thin Lizzy, he was also in Whitesnake, and then started a new band called Blue Murder. And I talk about John Sykes, and he didn't. So unfortunate, didn't get any credit for that Whitesnake album actually that he recorded, but that was slided in, and the Whitesnake, that was all
Vivian
him.
Campbell got credit for that.
Well, that's because Whitesnake was such a shit show in that time.
Right. So, John Sykes.
Yeah, they wanted the Pretty Boys for the videos.
Yeah, they wanted Vandenberg and
Rudy Sarzo licking his bass neck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rudy Sarzo didn't play on that album either.
No.
Nope.
No, it was
I think
They
Tommy
did
Aldridge did, but he was the only one, I think.
Yeah, it was just Tommy Aldridge because it was Neil Murray.
Yeah.
Neil Murray on bass. Yep.
All right, Joe, what do you got?
Well, it's always hard when you're in a three-piece band to be you think everybody stands out, but in this case, honestly, I'm pretty. You can correct me if you think this guy's bigger than he is, but this band has one of the most iconic bass and frontmen of all time, a drummer's drummer that everyone really holds up as one of the greatest musicians of his generation. And then you have Andy Summers. And Andy Summers wrote some of the most iconic guitar riffs of all time, but nobody really talks about Andy Summers. Everyone talks about Sting. Everybody talks about Stuart Copeland. You really don't hear Andy Summers' name brought up that much, even though he wrote, Message in a Bottle, the riff that's almost physically impossible to play for most people, or Every Breath You Take that he sued, who was it, P. Diddy, and won money from him because he's like, no, that's my riff. You didn't just take Sting's vocals, you took my riff. And it honestly just one of my favorite guitar players that I don't think is talked about nearly enough.
I agree with you, man, and I almost picked him. Seriously. But I didn't pick him because he sang Mother.
Fair.
Yeah. And behind My Campbell was a good instrumental though, but
He's actually touring solo.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
if he sings Mother, I don't want to go.
He's either
I'm sure he will.
here-
I'm sure he will.
He's either here soon or he was already here. It was more of a spoken word, Q&A, and stuff like that.
I'll tell you what,
Q&A would be cool, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what I've loved is over like the last year or so, Stuart Copeland's been making like a ton of appearances on YouTube channels and stuff.
Uh-huh.
The man is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like he did one of those Drumeo videos where he did like an hour-long thing where he was like showing how he does different drum fills and stuff and just telling stories about different stuff. It's amazing. Honestly, anyone who hasn't seen it, I recommend it. Look up Stuart Copeland Drumeo. It's amazing to see his like thought process on all these drum licks, but also just the stories he tells about his time in the police and his relationship with the other two guys. And it's just really a cool video to see.
He's the one lightening those other two up.
Yeah.
If you watch the videos, he's lightening them up. They're like stiffs, and he's the one going, ah!
Yeah. Oh, he's nuts, but it's great.
Yeah, he's nuts. Yeah.
That's another band that doesn't want to be in the same room together. But
yeah.
I think they're okay now.
Well, then that's
I'm surprised they actually made it through that tour without any incidents. They did.
They barely did. He said that in the video that.
Oh, really?
They're great friends now. They over like between 86 and 2006, they kind of slowly got better and better friends, and finally were like, okay, we're really good friends now. We think we can do this. They got back in the rehearsal room and wanted to kill each other. And it was like, we can be great friends as long as we're not making music together.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like living with your parents. It's like living with your parents. You get along so much better when you get away from them. But if you have to move back in for a little bit, it's like
that was pretty much exactly how he described it. But it's like he's like, we're all great friends now, but we wanted to kill each other in 2007.
Right. All right, Andy, what do you got for number 7, man?
Yeah, my number 7 is everybody. Well, not everybody. Well, let me say me and Joe, and probably Mark with a C, or K. I don't know how you feel about Frank Zappa, but Frank Zappa is very has that distinct sound when it comes to a certain instrument. And I'm talking about Ruth Underwood.
Thank you.
I don't know the members of that band, but I love Frank Zappa. So yeah, it's really good, man.
When you hear the xylophones and the congas and percussions that are quick and sharp, that's Ruth Underwood. And she is so important to that sound that when she's playing, you know that's a Frank Zappa sound. And you know she's got to be badass to be a member of the Mothers of Invention. So my number 7 is Ruth Underwood.
All right, Mark with a C.
Mark with a C. I'm glad I'm the first one to pick this motherfucker. Because I just read with Gene Simmons talk about bass players, how he loves John Paul Jones. and he said he can't remember his bass lines, but he was producing Van Halen, and he said Eddie and Michael Anthony, it was like Michael Anthony was chasing a fox. They were chasing the interplay between him and Eddie was so good. Michael Anthony's very underrated bass player. And Gene Simmons was talking about how it's like he was in the thing recording them and he was playing some bass lines was just so freaking killer. Nobody talks about it. Plus his backgrounding vocals. As a bass player, I'm thinking Michael Anthony's very
talks
underrated.
about though.
But he's a great bass. They talk about his backing vocals. They don't talk about his bass playing. I think Eddie Van Halen was full of shit about Michael Anthony playing bass.
Sammy said it too, though. So if you don't believe
Well,
Sammy said
I've
it too.
seen Michael Anthony live a lot of times, and he plays great bass live. So I love Michael Anthony. I think he's very underrated as a bassist. He's come up with a lot of riffs. I think Eddie undervalued him. And even Alex said that with Michael Anthony was a big part of that band. So there you go.
I think, yeah, I'm not to disagree with you as far as the bass fan, but the background vocals definitely, man, absolutely.
Well, everybody talks about his bass playing. I hear some great bass riffs.
I would put his bass playing on par with Nikki Sixx.
Come on, think about Running the Devil, that opening bass line.
Open fucking.
Has anybody ever done that before?
Yes.
Whatever. I loved it.
Mark, you can play that opening for Running with the Devil in 2 minutes. I
could play your mom too, but I'm not going to.
Well, you know what? She's available and she plays very well still. So, go for it. Yeah, she's 85 years old. She probably is looking for a little Asha Mark. So go for it, dude. I wouldn't mind. All right. But it's not an awful pick as far as his backing vocals. Obviously, he definitely was part of the vocal sound of the band. So yeah, I hear you. But my next pick is I'm gonna go with Styx as well, but I'm not gonna go with Tommy or Dennis. I'm gonna go with the other guy. I'm gonna go with JY, man. You always hear Tommy and Dennis, but look at us, especially on Paradise Theater, Halfpenny, Two Penny, and Snowblind Man are two of the best songs from Styx.
Great White Hope.
Great White Hope. I mean, even his songs, he got fewer songs on the A&M albums, but during the Wood and Nickel era, he sang a lot of leads, and they were good, man.
Even Crash the Crown.
Well, I don't.
But I had to fuck with you there. Sorry, Jerry.
But I mean, he always had that. I wouldn't say metal edge to the band, but definitely a hard rocking edge to the band. Which
I love Heavy Metal Poisoning too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's a great fuck. One of the only good songs off that fucking album.
I like that album.
But yeah, I mean, he's. I think he's the one that's actually holding up Dennis coming back, and I think Tommy would actually do it. I think if persuaded. But JY, I don't know, for some reason he has some bitterness towards Dennis. I guess I can see why, but I can see why, JY. There you go. But I wish that it's never going to happen. There's never going to be a reunion unless hopefully the Hall of Fame. That's the only chance I see Dennis playing with that. Even then, I don't know.
See, it's the Styx has just never been in a position where they've had to. Yeah. That's the thing. Styx does so well on their own. They've never been put in a position where they have to do it as like a publicity stunt. And that's the only way that they would ever do it, because they do so well on their own. They don't need him.
Yeah. They still sell well. They still sell, pretty good.
Oh yeah. They still sell out big places.
But, yeah, I mean, I think James even said it himself. I think you told me this, Mark, that he's just getting lazy in his old age. Doesn't want to write anymore.
James said that. He said he just lets him do the shit and he'll just come in and record it.
But, obviously, I mean, to me, he's definitely one of the most underrated guitar players of those 70s of those, what do you call them, arena rock bands,
Mm-hmm.
And he could sing too. He had a cool rocking voice as well, man, I mean, is it opera? Is it like fucking Pavarotti? No, but it worked for his music, And he can hit high notes too. Everybody says Tommy was the high note lady, or he got hired because of the high note lady, but James hit some high notes in that fucking, that chorus as well. So anyway, I'm talking way too much about James Young, but
no, he deserves it. There you go.
Absolutely. My number 7, JY, man. I love fucking Styx. I don't care. Number 6, Mark with the K.
Number 6, I'm gonna go with basically this guy, guitar player, but it definitely gets overshadowed by the bass player and the lead singer. They're basically the focal points of this band. I'm talking about Adrian Smith of Iron Maiden. Writes a little bit differently. He gives you like the different types of songs, especially for example, like for instance, Senjutsu, the last time they did, but he did the Writing on the Wall song. He has songs that this if you're not really into those really long prog rock 11, 12 minute Iron Maiden songs,
I love that album.
It's got like he's basically the curveball. He basically gives the fans a little bit different Iron Maiden. And when you look at the '80s, he wrote songs like 2 Minutes to Midnight, Wasted Years, Stranger in a Strange Land. And the band changed a lot once he left the band, like right after the Seventh Son of the Seventh Son tour. No Prayer for the Dying was, you could definitely tell that extra songwriter was missing. It was like, basically it felt like it was more of a
Yannick Gear sucks.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he sucks.
Dude, he's a clown. He's a clown on stage.
He's not much of a songwriter, so I'm gonna go Adrian Smith number 6.
That's a good pick.
Listen to Smith Kotzen.
That's a great album.
Great album.
I heard they're gonna do something else too again in the future.
Yeah.
So they've already done like an EP and a live album, kind of.
Yeah. He's always been my favorite member of Iron Maiden, Adrian Smith. Ever since he joined them on Killers. Joe, what do you got?
Well, yeah. So another band where like a lot of the members are big names in that kind of community. They're in a bunch of other side projects and stuff, and that's Dream Theater. And you always hear people talk about Portnoy or Petrucci or James Labrie or Brutus or any of the keyboard players. But you never really hear people talk about John Mayung, the bass player. I think he is a solid part of that band where he just holds it down. And you listen to a lot of those songs. He has some incredible bass runs. I see Mark has Dream Theater's newest album cover as his backdrop here.
This is the single, actually.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It is. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Yep. But yeah, it's his bass playing is just incredible, especially like hasn't really done that much outside of the band as the rest of them have. We've all been in like 20 other.
Wasn't he in Liquid Tension Experiment?
No.
Or he wasn't?
Tony Levin is the bass player.
I like Tony Levin too.
Yeah, he's in Liquid Tension. But yeah, John Mayung is just an amazing bass player. Has done a lot of great stuff on those Dream Theater albums, and I think he definitely gets undervalued as far as the big names of the rest of the band.
He might be higher on my list, Joseph.
There you go.
All right. Andy.
Yeah, my number 6, I'm going to go with Mike Nesmith of the Monkees, and I will tell you why. He is the reason why the Monkees had a career after their TV show, because he is the one that pushed the band to become a real band and not just be this TV band, because he was told when he signed that they will have control of their music, and of course that was not the case. And when they did not let up on their reins on the band, he got very upset, and he went to the powers that be, and the powers that be sided with Mike Nesmith, and they had better control, starting with Headquarters, one of their best albums in my opinion. So everybody talks about Davy Jones, the worst in the band, and
Davy Jones,
Nolan, of course. But Mike Nesmith was the talent of the guitar player.
Peter Tork was also a musician.
Yeah, Peter Tork was a very good multi-instrumentalist.
Very good.
He was. Yep, he was. But the focal point of the band was always Davy Jones.
Or no, it was Mickey Dolenz. I think Mickey Dolenz.
No, I said, come on. Marsha Brady was the president of the Mickey Dolenz fan club, man. Come on.
It was Davy Jones. Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Mike Nesmith as my number 6.
I hated the songs he sang. They were country.
What am I doing? Coming around, something like that.
Oh, that's a badass song. I absolutely love that song. What am I doing hanging around?
Yeah. Hanging around, that's it. Yeah.
I should be on that train and gone. I should be riding on that train to San Antonio. Y'all want me to finish?
No.
I'll let you.
No, go for it.
Mark Dodger, what do you got, man?
Mark Dodger. I'm going with wild Mick Brown from Dokken. That guy
That's
laid down the groove with frickin'
that's
Jet
that's
Pilson.
two that's two Doc in the members to pick.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
surprising. Actually, I thought I'd be the only one.
I like rocking with Dokken, man. Mick Brown, you got George Lynch, you got Jeff Pilson, you got Don Dokken. Nobody talks about the drummer. And he was crazy as fuck. And he fucking, dude, he had one of the greatest drum sound of the 80s to me. Nobody sounded like Mick Brown. Nobody still sounds like Mick Brown. Nobody can replace Mick Brown. Even his brother, who's playing in Tesla, cannot sound like Mick Brown.
I
like
didn't know
Mick Brown.
I didn't know they were brothers.
No, his
Really?
brother took over for Troy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
I mean, I knew the name, but I don't.
He's
I didn't know
also
they were
an
brothers.
He's also the end machine. He took over for Mick in that group too. So I can't remember his first name though.
Steve.
Steve Brown. So Mick Brown's my number 6.
All right. My number 6 is when the lead guitarist of the band says, "I'm tired of you calling this guy a rhythm guitar player." That's obviously got somebody fucking special. I'm talking about Brad Whitford from Aerosmith, man.
Oh, good pick.
Unsung as hell, dude. Hoodoo Voodoo Medicine, man. That's your favorite song, right, Mark? One of your favorite songs?
Yeah.
That's Brad. I mean, Last Child, Nobody's Fault, all those great leads he did on those tunes, man.
Whitford St. Holmes.
I may have him fucking up way too high. I mean, way too low. I think he should be or higher on my list is what I mean.
Yeah.
But fantastic fucking player. You know, not a noisemaker. He just sits there and does his thing and moves on. So stays out of the headlines. And he said, "Fuck it, guys. Let's get together. Let's do one more fucking album, just us." You know, I think he was a catalyst wanting to say that. I think. Am I correct?
And
on
they
that?
said, "Fuck you."
Yep.
Yeah. What the fuck, dude? So, yeah, it's a shame. But Brad Whitford, holy shit, dude, what a legend, man. Like I said, what's that?
I don't think Steve Tyler can do it anymore with his voice.
Oh no, he's. But
or Joey Kramer.
Maybe in the studio, maybe I don't know. They can always pull up some kind of shit in the studio. But like I said, when your lead guitarist says, "Stop calling this guy a rhythm guitarist," that means somebody's fucking. The other guy's pretty good. So that's my number 6 is Brad Whitford. Number 5, Mark with a K.
Number 5, once again, going to the well for soul artists and their first debut album. They need that help. You know, please let's make a good album. And if we don't make a good album, people might even forget about me. I'm talking about David Lee Roth when he did his Eden Smile album. I got to really give it to 2 members, though. Got to give a shout out to both Billy Sheehan and Steve Vai. Did a fantastic job, and that tour was just phenomenal when they did like guitar solo, bass solo, like trade-offs. So it totally blew my mind, and great show. And you know, it was this unbelievable seeing it. And unfortunately, I missed the Skyscraper tour, but Billy Sheehan was already going.
That's the tour I saw.
Yeah, but Steve Vai was still there. He had that huge heart guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah, Steve Vai, and I got to throw Billy Sheehan in the mix too. He deserves to be on the list. So that's my choice.
Yeah, that whole band, Greg Bessonet was a fucking
Greg Bessonet, yep.
Fucking incredible band. Cool. All right, Joe, number 5.
Oh, this guy's so underrated that his picture wasn't even on the sleeve of the second album, and the singer's bitch wife tried to take him off the master recordings. And I'm talking about Lee Kerslake.
Yeah,
Rozzy. I mean, Over the Mountain is one of the greatest drum intros of all time. That's Lee Kerslake. His drumming on those first 2 Ozzy albums is just absolutely phenomenal. It sucks that he was so marginalized for so much of the history of that music that Tommy Aldridge was on the inner sleeve of Diary of a Madman, and then Sharon tried to take him and Bob Daisley off of the recordings in the early 2000s, and they finally released, 10, 12 years ago, the original versions again, and then they finally gave him his gold albums, which I thought was really cool.
The re-recordings are awful. Like
oh yeah,
Trujillo and
Adler.
Yeah,
Mike Borden.
Borden.
Yeah, those were awful, terrible.
Yeah, just absolutely awful, and especially when you have such an iconic sound, especially for the drumming and the bass playing on those first 2 albums. You can't replace it, especially after 30 years of everyone knowing exactly what it sounds like. it was just an awful move, and especially for just a guy that most people don't really even know his name, even though he played on 2 iconic albums. And I hope that Lee Kerslake gets more credit from people than he does.
Fucking Sharon Osbourne, fucking, I don't know what the fuck her problem is, man.
She can suck my dick. No, I don't want to.
I just don't get
She's
it.
ugly
I mean,
as fuck.
She don't need money. I mean, I don't know what her problem is. Fucking. You ever hear that story between her and the Insane Clown Posse? It's
No.
fucking funny. I don't like those guys' music, but hearing their interviews, like when they're wrestling, talking about Sharon Osbourne, they're pretty fucking funny. You should listen to it. It's hilarious. But I don't know. She seems like a total fucking bitch, man. I don't get it.
She wants money.
But she's got tons of it.
Yeah, all these rich people just want more and more. They don't get who the fuck they fuck more.
Yeah, I guess.
It's like Rat. She wants money. She wants money.
And I'm sure if she could prop Ozzy up behind the microphone, she probably still would. But
yeah.
Oh, I think she's
trying to find a way.
She's been trying. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn. Okay, Andy, what do you got? Number 5, man.
Is it my turn?
Yep.
I got Frank San Pedro as my number 5. If you're not familiar with Frank San Pedro, he's the rhythm guitar player for Crazy Horse, which is Neil Young and Crazy Horse.
Oh, okay.
Neil Young's a fantastic guitar player, but you need that rhythm guitar in the background with the crunchy, dirty side of Crazy Horse. So, of course, the original guitar player was Danny Whitten, but Danny Whitten passed away in 71 or 72, and San Pedro has been doing it for almost 40 years. So, he's not a household name, but he's very important to the sound of Crazy Horse. So Frank San Pedro. They also call him Punch.
All right. Mark.
Well, you got Rick Emmett and Gil Moore, and then you got this guy in the band who plays bass, sings background vocals, does keyboards, produces kind of orchestrates the band, Mike Levine. Nobody talks about him. He is like the cog of that band. Without him, there'd be no Triumph.
I agree.
There would be no Triumph. Mike Levine is unheralded. He rules. I love him.
That's definitely a band, though, of 3 fucking amazing fucking musicians, right?
And nobody talks about Mike.
Yeah. Or Gil, for that matter, if you think about it.
They talk about Gil. He sings a lot of the songs, dude.
Yeah, but as far as drumming,
they talk about his drumming, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not. You're only gonna really. Primus is. I think I was just reading the Primus story. Triumph is a band where they're only popular enough to really for people to know the name of one guy.
Yeah, that's true.
Rick Emmett.
Yeah,
Rick Emmett. But
if you're a fan. People talk about Gil and Rick. They don't talk about Mike.
But if
you're a fan enough of Triumph to know that Triumph exists, you know all 3 of them.
They made a lot of money though. They toured huge tours in America. Of course
they did. Yeah. But nowadays, people really don't know much about them,
and that sucks.
It does.
Yeah.
All right, my number 5 is the guy we lost years ago, an amazing part of REO Speedwagon. I mean, he gets credit as far among us, but public wise, I think people forget about what a great guitar player Gary Richrath was, man.
No.
Absolutely, they did.
No, everybody talks about Gary, dude.
Right, we did a top fucking 11 of our favorite guitarists, and I went back and watched it. There were 5 of us on the show. Not a single one of us had him in our top 11 list.
Well, because I love Gary, but he's not in my top 11.
Mark, you put Michael Anthony on your list. Shut up.
Okay, I'm gone.
Come on. And through the years, I'm starting to think that Kevin probably was a dickhead because the last few albums, which are awful, what's the one with Can't Fight This Feeling? That was
I love Wheels Are Turning. What the fuck? It's got through the
they totally
I don't want to know.
They
God
totally
damn that album rules.
They didn't have Gary hardly any fucking input on the album.
Gary he was jammed on those leads on that song.
Yeah, he had leads, but as far as songwriting, no.
He
he had substance
What are you
issues. I
talking
get
about?
that.
He wrote a lot of those songs. Through the Window.
Dude, you're like an REO nut swinger, so you know
Yes,
them
I
better
am.
than
I know this shit.
Exactly. You know them more than a lot of people did. Ask somebody, ask your wife who the guitar player or the Speedwagon is.
What
your
wife?
Ex-wife. Your ex-wife, excuse me.
She knows
Think
who
she'll
Gary
know?
is because I talk about him all the time.
Well, okay, well, that's probably not a wrong person to talk to. Talk to your girlfriend about it.
My
Yes,
girlfriend wouldn't know who the fuck Gary Richrath
That's what I
was.
mean.
I love you, Jennifer, but you wouldn't know who Gary Richrath was.
To me, I don't think he got enough credit.
She will later because I will talk about him all the time. There you go.
So yeah, I mean Gary was fucking amazing, dude, in those REO albums, dude.
Yeah, Dr. Fuck loves Gary.
Yeah. He's fucking one of my favorite Les Paul players, too. I'm not a huge Les Paul guy, but he made that thing fucking rock, man. So Gary Richrath. I don't care what
I
you
said
say,
with Dave Armato, when he played the Gary Richrath leads, he played him too fast. So there you go.
All right, number 4, Mark, with a K.
Number 4, I'm picking this guy because it seems like this solo career musician, his career kind of went basically hit the skids a little bit after he left. He appeared on albums like Free for All, Cat Scratch Fever, Double Live Gonzo. I'm talking about Ted Nugent's lead, basically dual vocalist, Derek St. Holmes, and also you got a little shout out earlier. Jerry mentioned the Whitford St. Holmes project.
Right.
Also was in Michael Schenker group. So Derek St. Holmes is my number 4.
That's a good pick.
Great fucking singer.
Great pick.
And a good guitar player too. So
yep.
Dog, doggy dog. Okay.
Yeah.
Death by misadventure.
That's what the doctor ordered.
Yeah. Just what the doctor ordered.
All right, Joseph, what do you got, man? Number 4.
All right. Well, Mark earlier mentioned Adrian Smith, but I got to go with a different member of Iron Maiden. And that is the late, great Clive Burr on the drums on the first 3 Iron Maiden albums.
Great drummer.
Just an absolutely phenomenal drummer. Absolutely influenced the style of Iron Maiden on those first 3 albums. I respect Nico a lot. I like what he's done on quite a few of the albums. He is no Clive Burr, and I don't think he ever has been. And I think that his style, but also his willingness to just go along with whatever Steve Harris says, has really resulted in a lot of what Iron Maiden has become over the last 30 years musically. And I think that the combination of of Paul Di'Anno and Clive Burr on those first 2 albums, and then even Clive Burr going through to Number of the Beast with Bruce, it was just a perfect combination of those lineups. And then you add Adrian Smith in on Killers and on Number of the Beast, and I think that's why, to me, those early Iron Maiden albums are by far the best things they've ever done. And I think Clive Burr's a huge part of that, and I don't think he gets nearly enough credit because for some reason people don't see him as a classic member of Iron Maiden. Everyone just thinks of Nico when they think of drums.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I hear what you say, but I think Nico would be considered the classic lineup because he's been there through like a lot of their great albums. You know what I mean? Like Peace of Mind, Power Slave, Seventh Son, Wasted Years, Somewhere in Time. So I guess he would be considered the classic lineup, I guess.
But the best drumming that Iron Maiden ever had was on Number of the Beast to me.
Oh, absolutely.
That was Clive Burr. Yeah.
Like I said, Nico's great, but how many you air drum the Clive Burr's riff, Running to the Hill, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Wrathchild, Running Free. I mean, these are just air drum fucking tunes. I mean, Nico killed it on songs like Riding the Ancient Mariner and shit like that. He fucking nails it. But yeah, Clive just had that certain, I don't know, it's standoutish. His drumming stood out a lot, especially on Number of the Beast, like The Prisoner or songs like that. Just, yeah, fucking good pick there. Andy, what do you got for number 4?
Yeah, I got another drummer on here. Everyone always thinks when they think of the Rolling Stones, they think of Jagger and Richards. Well, I think of Charlie Watt on drums. the steady hand in that band. It looks like he barely moves, but it sounds like he's all over the place. So my number 4 is going to be Charlie Watt. I think he's a fantastic drummer.
He's the reason that it's physically impossible to write out musical notation for honky tonk women, because he played it in like 10 different time signatures and you can't write it out. And that was what was amazing about it, was that he played it just at 10 different speeds. He was going up and down, and you cannot write, if you want to write like a musical notation to that song, you can't, because of Charlie Watt.
Wow. Yeah, because if you think about that song, the way that it starts and the way that it progresses, it's a totally different sound, especially for what that was 68, 68, right? And that was a single. I don't think it's on an album.
It was on a US version, but not on the original.
Okay, but
British
it was released
version
as a single.
Yes, mainly, yeah.
It was what it was. So Charlie Watt's my number 4.
Yeah, you put Mick Taylor on that list too. Definitely fucking underrated from Member of the Stones. But yeah, Charlie was awesome, dude. He was. And from what I hear, he was like he seemed like the quiet guy on stage, but backstage I heard he was the fucking one of the loudest as far as, solving fights and shit like that between band members. So good for him. All right. Mark, what do you got? Wait, no.
Yeah.
Where are we at? Yeah, Mark. Okay,
Mark.
right.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna get shit for this, but I don't give a fuck.
Same here.
The whole backing band of Oingo Boingo.
The whole backing band.
Everybody knows Danny Elfman. Nobody knows Steve Bartek. Nobody knows Johnny Vatos. Nobody knows John Avila. Nobody knows
Joey Votto.
And nobody should.
They should. That band is amazing. That I am seeing them Saturday. The former members of Oingo Boingo without Danny. Steve Bartek is one of the amazing guitar players of all time, and nobody gives that guy credit. They are amazing freaking party band, Halloween band. They just fucking rule. I'm sorry, you guys don't like them. I don't give a fuck.
I did say Mark. I did say our.
And I'm being serious because this is one of my favorite bands of all time.
Mark,
are
you but the whole band.
The whole band. Do you know anybody besides Danny Elfman?
No.
Thank you.
Mark, are you seeing them for free at the park down the street?
No, I'm seeing them for $50 down at the fucking club.
$50.
The former
that
members
is
of
a
Boingo
severe waste of money.
No, it isn't. I've seen them before, and they put on a great show. Check out the videos on Freeform Rock Podcast YouTube.
I won't.
Well, because you don't know, man. I'm sorry you don't like them. It's fine.
I love giving Mark shit about his Oingo Boingo now. He just gives me shit.
But I'm being
those.
serious. Nobody knows any of that band, and they're a tight fucking. Go look at live their final tour on YouTube.
I know, but I'm just saying that because I thought they were only picking one person out of the band.
Well, I went against the rules like you do all the time, Andy.
I do.
You do sometimes, yes, and so does Jerry. So I did it. I picked the whole backing band because nobody knows who the fuck Oingo Boingo is besides Danny Elfman, and that makes sense to me.
You said Joey Votto. Does he play for the Cincinnati Reds?
That's what I thought.
Joey Vatos. I mean Joey Vatos. Joey Vatos, the drummer. John Avila, the bass player. You got the horn section. You got Steve Bartek. Great freaking band, man. Great freaking tight band. They are tight.
Tomorrow on Black Spinner Circle, we're doing top 10 horror movie or scary movie theme songs. And while I was going through different lists, there's a lot of Danny Elfman on there.
Right.
Oh, movie soundtrack. I gotta give the guy props. He did Beetlejuice. That's one of my favorite movies.
Tomorrow on that metal station, I got a freaking 3-song block of Oingo Boingo. I got Dead Man's Party. I got Dead or Alive. I'm playing on that metal station. I'm playing a 3 because I couldn't pick one song. They are Halloween as fuck. They played every year 2 dates at the Irvine Meadows Universal Amphitheater Halloween every year when they were a touring band. They are an amazing band. They are amazing.
I gotta hear that CD because I've got it. I've got one of their performances in Halloween. It's a double CD, but I've never heard it.
Dude, they are amazing live. Go look at their final thing at the Universal Amphitheater. He's dragging the bass player across the stage while he's playing. They are a great live band, and nobody gives them any credit. It pisses me off. Yes, Ralph Vieira, I got triggered about Oingo Boingo. There you go.
Well,
so that's my number 4.
Yeah, we're way too much time on Oingo Boingo here.
No, you never have enough time.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Do you know I like giving you shit about that? What's the score anyway?
They're down by 2.
6-4.
Okay. All right, my next pick is my favorite member of the band, which there are a few of them out there that think she is the better member of the band, but I'll take Christine McVie as my favorite member of Fleetwood Mac, man. Absolutely fantastic vocalist, good keyboard player, especially if you listen to the older stuff, the pre-Lindsay and Stevie shit. Her piano playing and organ playing is just fantastic, man. Great shuffles, great. I mean, she's writing great blues riffs like "You Make Lovin' Fun." I mean, "Don't Stop." That's like what an awesome shuffle that is. I mean, just incredible and an amazing voice. I mean, if Songbird don't get you emotional, man, then you're not human, because that fucking song is beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful songs ever written. And again, it doesn't get enough credit as the other two. And again, she's pretty much a quiet one. I get that quiet people don't really get noticed much, but damn, I don't think Fleetwood Mac would have been as good without Christine in that band, man. She was like, I wouldn't say an anchor per se, but I don't know, that one person you didn't expect to have great fucking songs come out, you expected Lindsay and Stevie, but Christine was awesome in the band, and rest in peace, man. She was fantastic in that band. So that's my number 4, Christine McVie. Number 3, Mark with a K.
A good segue there. You said talk about a quiet member of the band. Matter of fact, this guy is no longer really involved at all with the band, just with the business decisions. I'm talking about the bassist for Queen, John Deacon. Good, very, very underrated songwriter. Wrote some good songs. Love of My Life. Another One Bites the Dust. Some great tunes. Yeah, like I said, it's easily get overshadowed because very bombastic frontman Freddie Mercury, guitar legend Brian May, and Roger Taylor the drums, also a great vocalist. So very easy to be unsung hero. But I got to give him a shout out. So John Deacon, number 3.
I mean, Deacon was awesome. He wrote "You're My Best Friend." So what else did he write? Another One Bites the Dust.
And I Want to Break Free. That's another one.
I Want to Break Free. Yeah. Songs you didn't expect him to write. I mean, like I Want to Break Free. That's an all Freddie song. You think, you know what I mean? Not, I guess maybe because of the video. Maybe, I don't know, but but yeah, he was. I mean, he wrote a lot of songs for Queen. A lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So that's good.
He wrote a lot of the big hits.
Yeah.
That's a good fucking pick right there, man. Number 2, Joseph.
No, number 3.
Number 3, Joseph.
My number 3 is, I think that this is one of the guys where people probably may know his name, but I mean, I don't think I ever really hear anybody talk about this guy as far as what he brought to this band. And honestly, earlier on my list, I had Steve Hackett, and Steve Hackett is really the guy that's kind of keeping that era of Genesis alive in live performance today. And this guy is honestly keeping this era of Pink Floyd alive today, and that is Nick Mason. And I think that a really, really underrated member of that band that really was just a constant presence, but you never really hear anybody talk about him. And I think that he really, really added a lot to those classic albums, and just really doesn't get too much credit. And I think he definitely should, because even, I mean, it's all about Waters and Gilmore for people, but even I think Richard Wright even tends to get a decent amount of credit for the kind of
Nick Mason,
the vibe that he brought to those albums, even over Nick Mason. So I think Nick Mason is easily the most underrated member of the classic Pink Floyd lineup.
Yeah. Nick Mason, he can make take Us and Them, for instance. Slow song, but it's the time that he keeps with the cymbal, and just, I mean, it's just something. There's something. I'm not a drummer, so I really can't tell you the technique, but the sound of it is just so. It just goes so well in the background with that ambient music, Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and his drumming on the song "Time," for instance, fucking incredible. His earlier stuff, like the Nile song and stuff like that, he was a hard hitter, man.
Yeah.
I mean, so I hear you, dude. So yeah, that's a good pick there.
Great pick.
All right, Andy, what do you got?
Yeah, unfortunately, as Pink Floyd went on, it kind of diminished his role as a drummer, as the band.
It brought in Cozy Powell. Yeah.
My number three, it's already been talked about by Joseph Clive Burr. To me, he was very important to the first three albums, and those drums really do stick out. We did a show last week about about Paul Diano passing away. Of course, we talked about the first two albums, but also on Three Shots Down, we do a whole episode about Clive Burr as well, and how instrumental and important he was to the first three Iron Maiden albums. So, Clive Burr, I'm not going to talk about it that much more because Joseph already covered that for me. Appreciate that.
All right, Mark with the C.
Well, Joseph already brought him up. John Mayung of Dream Theater. That guy with those, you got one of the like two best drummers in the world with like Portnoy, and who's the other guy? Whatever. The guy could play. You have to have a great bass player to play with those two drummers. Mike Mangini, he keeps up with them. He's got a great rhythm, and nobody ever gets. He like writes a lot of the songs with them too. So you just take out Jordan Rudeness, that'd be a perfect band. So John Mayung, Dream Theater.
What's the hate with Jordan Rudess? I don't get it.
Because he's not, dude. He made the Astonishing. Just say that. That was his baby. The Astonishing was horrible.
Yeah, it was, but I don't know. I like his plan.
Yeah, he's okay when he doesn't make the Astonishing. That's what fucked him up.
All right, my number three. Sorry, I'm getting tired. We talked about keyboard players last week. We're talking about what a madman this guy was on stage. He was shaking and rocking that fucking keyboard all the time. John Lord from Deep Purple, man. Out fucking standing fucking player, dude. I mean, what was the album we just reviewed?
Deep Purple, Perfect Strangers.
Perfect Strangers. Yeah. Can't remember. I thought we did Perfect. Did we do another one too?
No. We did Perfect Strangers was the Deep John Lord album.
No, I know that, but there's another one we did, I thought.
I don't remember. Not with John Lord. Anyway,
fantastic. Well, I mean, every person in that band's pretty much a legend in their own right, but to me, he doesn't get enough credit. I mean, you mentioned Roger Glover, fucking Ian Pace. I mean, just great fucking musicians, but John's keyboard player. He died,
2013, I think.
2013. We talked about that too, I think, as well. But I thought he was fucking awesome keyboard player, dude. So that's my number three.
Yeah, I thought that he was very well credited for his role in Deep Purple.
He was, but I'll give it to Jerry on that one. Everybody knows John Lord. But that's okay.
All right, number really?
Yeah, people talk about John Lord. Dude,
Mark
John
Anthony?
Lord was a huge part
Michael
of
Anthony?
Deep Purple.
Really?
I would think
that give me Michael Anthony.
Right more.
Hey, Andy said it first.
Sorry.
Even Clive Burr.
Everybody
knows Clive
No,
Burr.
they don't. Not as much. They know
on our music, absolutely everybody knows Clive Burr.
Not as much as Nico.
So you can kiss my ass on that one. I think it's a good pick.
Bend over, bitch.
No thanks. I'll pass. Anyway, well, fuck you then, Joe.
I don't want to fuck you.
I thought it was a great pick, but whatever.
Thank you, Mark. Mark with a K.
Number two, I'm going to go with this. Another bass player, but he not only plays the bass, but he plays the keyboards. He plays the mandolin. He can play the cello. I know he's in like a world-renowned band, but he's the quietest member of the band, and unfortunately, he wasn't.
Steal my thunder.
Sorry, John Paul Jones.
Yeah,
I figured he'd be number one on everybody's list. So yeah, John Paul Jones.
Yeah, I'll keep my comments
Yeah,
myself right now.
yeah. I'm
I'll
pretty sure
keep
everybody.
mine too because I'm going to steal your thunder too, bitch.
Yeah. So
I think
just
maybe everybody will steal your thunder. Maybe I don't know.
yeah, I'm sure everybody else picked him too. But yeah, he's just
I,
amazing
I didn't
musician.
because I think he's too well known, but that's
Out of those other three members of the band,
well, it's Led Zeppelin. Everybody knows everybody. But I figured everybody else would pick him, so I didn't feel bad about not picking him.
All right. Well, what do you got then, Joseph?
So for my number 2, if you look at the band Motorhead, for pretty much the entirety of the existence of Motorhead, you had one of 2 trio lineups. You either had the classic lineup with Lemmy and Fast Eddie and Filthy Animal, or you had the lineup that lasted for pretty much 2 decades at the end of the band with Lemmy and Mickey D and Phil Campbell. But there's a couple people that came and went throughout that time. And I think the most important one, the one that I think really doesn't get almost any credit, but was in the band for like a decade and was on a ton of great albums, is Wurzel.
Wurzel
who
is
played
awesome.
guitar through Orgasmatron all the way through Sacrifice. And was on a ton of great albums. Orgasmatron, Rock and Roll, 1916, Bastards, Sacrifice. Just a phenomenal guitar player. And for the last couple of those albums, he was, I think almost all the albums he was paired with Phil Campbell. They actually had 2 guitarists in the band. And they went back and forth and they had a great chemistry together. And then Wurzel kind of fell off the face of the earth a little bit. He left the band in the late 90s and really didn't do much after that. He did a couple guest appearances with them later on some live anniversary shows. But for those like 10 years, he was just a phenomenal guitarist for Motorhead. And because he wasn't really a part of either of those classic trio lineups, you really don't hear people give him that much credit. And I think he deserves a lot of credit just for being a great guitarist in one of my favorite periods of Motorhead's discography.
It wasn't. I mean, Lemmy said you liked both those guys too much, so that's why you picked both of them.
Yeah,
it became a 4-piece. So yeah, yep. I mean, yeah. So, but you're right. I mean, he was a fantastic guitar and a showman too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good pick too. Andy, what do you got for number 2?
Yeah, my number 2. I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't been mentioned. And now I'm thinking maybe he's not been mentioned because everybody knows who he is. But I don't think so. Not in the eyes of the regular music lover or music listener. I'm going to Malcolm Young from AC/DC.
That's a good one.
I think he was very important to the sound. He always set up Angus. Not only was he the rhythm guitar player, he was the backing vocal. He was very instrumental in the songwriting. He was there for the creation of the band, almost part leader of that band. But no one really mentions him, and I think he's very important to the band. So Malcolm Young.
All right,
good pick,
Mark.
Well, John Paul Jones, Led Zeppelin. I'm gonna steal your thunder too, Jerry.
Well, I knew a couple of them would pick.
He was the Swiss Army knife of that band, dude. He's like kind of John Deaconish, so I picked John Paul Jones.
Yeah, I agree. I'm about to go. I know Joseph picked Nick, and he said Rick was a little bit more well known, but I think Rick was very underrated. Rick Wright from Pink Floyd. I thought his contributions to the songwriting, especially all the way up until Wish You Were Here, I think were very noticeable and awesome. Just that intro to Shine On You Crazy Diamond, the way it comes in, and that easy, cool riff, how fucking memorable was that as a keyboard riff? Come on, man. I mean, like I said, we always make a joke about The Wall that he was the only one that made money off that tour because he was fired and hired back as a session musician. So he made money while the rest of the band lost money. So that was kind of cool. Yeah. Well, he was a very low-spoken guy of the band. But I thought he was an incredible keyboard player, man. So I gotta have Rick Wright in there. And so that's my number 2. All right. Number 1. Mark Daly, what do you got for your number 1?
Number 1, another bass player, but also he was the main lyricist for this new soul artist. Well, new soul artist, but of a very classy rock metal band. And I'm talking about Bob Daisley. He it just look at the interesting lyrics he has, like in Mr. Crowley. For Ozzy had so much trouble because Bob Daisley was trying to tell you it wasn't politically sent; it was polemically sent. And who can write lyrics that include the word incubus, like in Rock and Roll Rebel? It just and also just like that it was not like really a hard bass playing, but just like the way he just like moved along the fretboard, and he just very solid bass player. And it's very unfortunate that I go through so much crap with Sharon Osbourne.
Another one.
Yeah, matter of fact, I remember I think it was the Ozman Cometh album, and Sharon refused to put his name on the album, but when she was forced to, I think just to get a dig at him and Lee, she wrote Bonnie Daisley and Lucy Kerslake. I was like, what? I was looking at the liner notes. I was like, are you kidding me? And it was just a lot of back and forth between them. But it's unfortunate that he had to go through all that crap from Sharon. But that's my pick, Bob Daisley, number one.
All right, Joe.
All right. Well, this guy I think is such an important part of this band that really kind of got the shaft for a lot of the band's history. But the band realized how important he was to their history that he actually got brought back to play with them on all of their 50th anniversary shows that they are currently releasing on DVD. And that is Albert Bouchard, the original drummer of Blue Oyster Cult. He was a songwriter in the band. He drummed on all of their classic albums up through Fire of Unknown Origin. And he was the vocalist on their first hit, Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll. He sang at least one song on every album that he played on, quite a few songs on Spectres and on oh my god, why I'm so tired, why am I blanking on the album with Don't Fear the Reaper on it? I can't not Secret Tree. That one, whatever that one is, like I cannot think of the name. But he sang on quite a few songs on those albums, and just a huge part of Blue Oyster Cult's sound to me was his drumming, because he could go from heavy and pounding on something like Godzilla and just this really heavy pounding drums to something really kind of tight and smooth and in the pocket on something like I Love the Night, and just some really, really great drum playing, great songwriting, great vocals. And I love the fact that he played with them on all of those 50th anniversary shows that they're releasing on DVD, even though he hasn't been in the band since 1982. I think that's really cool that they brought him back for all those shows. But yeah, so my number one is Albert Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult.
All right, Andy, what do you got?
I think, and I should be this one should be number one on everybody's list. And I'm going with John Paul Jones. There's no reason why he shouldn't be number one. The dude plays everything. He filled in the gaps of one of our favorite bands. So John Paul Jones, is my number one.
All right, Mark.
Well, if you know me, you got Geddy Lee, got Neil Peart, and nobody puts this guy in our top 10 guitar list.
I thought about him. I did. I really did.
Alex Lifeson, man.
Yeah, I thought about him.
Alex Lifeson.
Sure.
What a great guitar player. Listen to his solos. Listen to the guy, the way when they went to the keyboard era, he was playing his solos throughout the keyboards. He was intertwining his keyboards. This guy is a fucking genius. And nobody gives him any credit. Nobody. He's an amazing, even me. I didn't put him on my top 10 list, but he's my number 3 now. Because I saw the light and I go, dang, it's like I got Eddie Van Halen, I got Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I got all these guitar players. I never thought of Alex Lifeson like a top guitar player, because I think of Rush, I think of Geddy Lee, vocals, keyboards, I think of Neil Peart. I wasn't listening to what he was playing. And when I started actually listening to him, I go, oh my God, he is making these songs amazing. He is so great, and nobody gives him any credit. Alex Lifeson's my number one of Rush.
That's my favorite part of Rush is the guitar.
It was the drums for me, the drums and the
For me, it
lyrics.
was the guitar, and I think he's better than Stevie Ray Vaughan. I
Ooh,
love.
that's a good comment, though. I will take that.
Yeah, I think he's fantastic. He's my favorite in Rush.
All right, well, I mean, it's anticlimactic for my pick, I guess. John Paul Jones, obviously, is my number one pick. Multi-talent, multi-instrumentalist for the band. Definitely under the radar as far as popularity in the band. I mean, he plays keyboards. He does. Listen to his stuff off Physical Graffiti, like In the Light and stuff like that. Holy shit, dude. That's some cool shit, dude, that he uses. And his bass playing is just fucking phenomenal. How many more times that bass riff, man, is just, even Dazed and Confused, the simplicity of it's so carved and etched inside of our musical soul that, you realize what a great bass line it is. And like I said, he played the mandolin, like one of the best performances I've seen. I can't remember which one it was. It was them doing Going to California live. And, with Jimmy playing the acoustic, Robert singing, and JPJ playing that mandolin during it. I can't remember which video it came from, but I see it on the videos on YouTube a lot. But incredible performance, dude. I mean, the guy is just, I don't know, dude. Unsung hero, the number one unsung hero in music history, in my opinion. So that's my number one.
Oh, he's my number two, so he's pretty high up there for me.
Yeah.
His band didn't even give him enough credit. That's a shame.
No, they didn't. So where are we at, Jerry? That was
We're done,
man.
That's it. That was number one.
That was it, man. So we get to our plugs, man. Andy, plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, tomorrow on the Black Spinner Circle, we are going to be celebrating Halloween. We are going to be doing our top 10 theme songs for scary or horror movies or TV shows. You see half the panel here will be on Black Spinner as well, Jerry Soupy and Joseph Staub, with Al Horta and myself. So we'll be doing that tomorrow at 7 o'clock Central Time on Black Spinner. You can catch it on Facebook or our YouTube pages, which is Black Spinner Circle, and also on Be Cool or Be Podcast Out on YouTube. So we got that going on tomorrow, and then the week after that, we are going to be ranking our last Beatle tracks off Beatle albums. Mark Alden Taylor will be on that, and so will Edwin Conestracci will be on that as well. So a lot of things going on over there at Black Spinner.
All right, Jerry, what do you got, man?
Well, besides, I'll let you plug our podcast, but our Three Shots Down podcast will be starting back up again sometime next month as soon as we get a topic from Kate. Looking forward to doing that. And then me and Andy we've been kind of on a break from our football show because we've had plans, but I think we're going to start that back up next Tuesday. That's always fun. I love talking about football. So
yeah, it's a fun show to do.
To that. And other than that, just working, chilling. That's about it.
Well, on Friday on Freeform, we have like the artwork of Hugh Sign. We're going to talk about that on Freeform Rock Podcast.
Has it been released yet?
Huh?
That's it. I haven't been
that'll be next week.
It
was released on accident. It already got 14 downloads because I remember I was putting the newer artists first. I forgot to change that date, so it released and I took it off real quick. But it's got 14 downloads already, so that's pretty cool. That'll be Friday. And also, I don't know what we're doing next week on this show. Somebody needs to come up with the topic.
I do have something. Joseph actually mentioned this. If you want to do it, Joseph, it was your pick. I actually have my list done. You mentioned our favorite Westerns.
I'd be down.
Oh, that'll be next Thursday on BS. Our movie episodes do really well. Awesome.
You want to do that then?
Yeah.
Westerns?
Sounds good.
Mark?
You all talk Westerns, man. That's good to me, man.
All right. Yeah, cool. I already have my list done. When Joseph mentioned that, I already did a list for it. So,
Mark Daly, you got anything to promote, man?
How about just a thank you for inviting me on the show on the Freeform Rock Podcast. I'll be honest, Mark and I had a little period where we weren't like talking to each other. I'm kind of glad we reconnected.
That
and
was
I just
all
want-
on you, man.
I know.
That was all on you.
That was
I
a,
did nothing to you. I just asked
I
you a
know.
question.
Well, I
that
know.
was
But anyway,
that was a fucked up time. Don't
Yeah.
worry,
that was
it's all
that
in
was
the
me
all in the
being-
past.
me being silly. But I'm just so glad to be on, and I finally get to ask, "Hey, Mark, where's your red hat?"
It's Dodger season, bitch. 49er seasons during the week on Sundays.
Hey,
So,
I'm
man-
happy they beat the Cowboys, but I'm not happy the way that game ended. I mean, they're gonna blow another fucking lead, I thought. But
They went to prevent defense, but that last
Yeah.
drive, they went 4 and out, dude. They just stopped them.
yeah.
So
Well, you know what they say: prevent defense prevents winning.
Prevents
yeah,
you from
I
winning,
was
yeah.
telling Jerry through the whole game, this prevents winning. But thank you guys for being on here. We'll be on next week with our top 11 Westerns with Joseph. All right, guys, take it easy, man. We're out of here.
But it's so
Later.
funny that's when Dak Prescott shines is in the fourth quarter when they're playing prevent.
Yeah, I mean, that's where he gets most of it. That's where he pads his stats.
Yeah.
right there.
I mean, hello.
Yeah,
look
that's
what,
where he
look
pads
what
them.
happened. Look what happened when they played the Steelers a couple weeks ago. That's the only reason
Yeah.
they won.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Prevent
shit.
defense in the fourth quarter.
Pretty
Yeah.
good defense. All right, guys, take it easy, man. We're
All right,
out of
guys.
here.
All right.
Later.
Right on.
Take care, guys.